Hello my friends, this is Dennis Magda with Yugabyte. This week we've got an interesting question on our community channel. Brian is trying to set up Skyvia with YugabyteDB Managed, the version of YugabyteDB that runs in the cloud and gets managed for you by their YugabyteDB team. And generally, there are several configuration steps that you need to follow strictly. And if you don't do this, the connectivity between Skyvia and YugabyteDB Managed might not work as expected. So I decided that one video is much better than 1,000 words. So Brian, this video tutorial is done specifically for you and for our future community members who will be using Skyvia with YugabyteDB Managed. Let's go. Enjoy. Alright folks, as a prerequisite, you need to create a YugabyteDB Managed cluster. What I've done, I already have a 3-node cluster running in the US East, South Carolina. And also make sure you have Skyvia account, otherwise you don't need to watch this video if you don't use Skyvia. The next step is we need to create a connection from Skyvia to YugabyteDB Managed. To do that, go to the menu settings, click the connection and search for PostgreSQL. As long as YugabyteDB is PostgreSQL compliant, we are going to use this configuration. Now we need to provide several settings: server, port, user ID, etc, etc. So go back to your YugabyteDB Managed console, click on the connect button, and here is, you can click on the connect to your application setting and select the parameters tab. So here you have most of the settings required by Skyvia. Let's copy all of them. First, the host. It goes here. The port number is different with YugabyteDB. It's 5433. So your user ID is your username. When you're creating your YugabyteDB cluster, you download a special file with your credentials. So my file is here. I have multiple clusters, but that's the admin, that's the username, your user ID, and the password. You will have your own password. So the database, again, go to YugabyteDB Managed. What's your default database? Usually it's Yugabyte by default. And schema, leave it blank. Also, YugabyteDB Managed runs in the cloud, and it requires you to use SSL, secure your connection, and also it requires you to specify the IP addresses of your services or applications that will be reaching out to YugabyteDB Managed. So Skyvia, that's a SaaS product. It runs in the cloud. And if you want let Skyvia connect to YugabyteDB Managed, you need to add the following IP addresses of Skyvia to the IP allow list on the YugabyteDB Managed site. So just copy all of this and click on the actions button on the YugabyteDB Managed site. Edit IP list. You can say Skyvia. I already have it, but I will show you how it looks like. And then you just add them this way and click the save button. Right, in my case, it will not save it because I've already added all of these IP addresses to the list. I have them here, so I will be able to connect to my YugabyteDB Managed cluster from Skyvia. So that's the first step when it comes to the security. And the second step, go back to Skyvia and click on the advanced settings. So here is we are interested in the SSL connection. Click SSL. You need to provide your certificate so that Skyvia can validate your YugabyteDB Managed deployment. Where do you get the certificate? All right, we need to jump back to the YugabyteDB Managed. Click connect as well. Connect to your application. And here you will find this download CA certificate button. Download it. Open this file. Use your favorite text editor. I know I'm on macOS and I can use TextEdit. Then just go ahead and copy this whole file go back to Skyvia, click here, and add your certificate. Click Save. You don't need to fill in SSL cert and SSL key properties, just bypass them. But when it comes to SSL TLS protocol, use the most advanced one, 1.2. Okay, let's test connection. Wonderful, the connection is established. So now let's give a name. Let's name it YugabyteDB Managed. And let's create connection. Wonderful. Let's save it. It's saved. And right now you can take advantage of this connection. Let's quickly go back to the Skyvia main panel. And here is, you see this connection, and you can open the SQL editor. So let's create a sample table such as create table tester ID integer and I don't know, name varchar. Let's do this. All right. Waiting it usually when you have a multi-node cluster, and if the cluster runs across multiple availability zones or regions, it might take a bit more time to create tables. So now let's generate some data. I don't want to type this. Basically, this command inserts 10 random records. It's done. And now let's select all of the records from the test table. All right, these are my 10 records that I generated. You can see that they are not ordered because I have a 3-node cluster, to remind you, right? Let me show you. And every node is responsible for a subset of the data, which means that when you request all this data, it comes unordered. If you want to order, then you know what to do. Just add order by ID. And that's it. Let's wait. Done. Finally, let's double check that actually all of these commands were executed over my YugabyteDB Managed cluster, so that's not a fraud. Go to your YugabyteDB Managed deployment, click connect as well, and here is you can launch Cloud Shell, an embedded SQL tool that is supported by YugabyteDB Managed. So for this one, I need a password as well. Let's wait. All right, here is my password. Let's check the database exists. Yeah, we have this table, and you also can execute the same query from test order by ID. Done. So that's it. That's all you need to do. You just need to follow some instructions precisely, and don't forget to enable SSL, because without SSL, you will not be able to establish connection from Skyvia to YugabyteDB Managed. Hope it helps Brian and the rest of the community members. Enjoy!